Hello, everyone. Jaleesa Dallas here, and I help individuals and organizations cultivate courage and how they live, love, and lead. And so today we are talking about leadership, but through the context of courage. And I'm sure this is not any surprise to any of the folks that I've been connected with for some time. And so I have this book. I am reading this book, Think and Grow Rich. And I've talked to my subscribers via my newsletter about this very book and how the very first thing when it came to attributes and characteristics of leadership in what is now my favorite chapter of this book, organized planning. The first thing for attributes and intentions of leadership was the conversation on unwavering courage as the very first thing that is considered a factor in leadership. And so I talked about in the newsletter, and I'm just going to jump right into it, not to delay anything, but what I talked about in the newsletter was how the author, who is Napoleon Hill, shared how self-awareness and self-confidence are aspects of what build unwavering courage. And because that is an area for which I talk about very frequently and ultimately live by, is really just wild to me. And so I wanted to go through some of the other 10 attributes and or factors of leadership, and let's go into the second attribute / characteristic factor of leadership that's highlighted here. And actually, before we get to that, I do want to share that this chapter on organized planning is about really securing your desired action. Now, Think and Grow Rich, it is about success. It is about growing your business, getting a definite desire and or purpose, getting a plan around that and actually executing. It talks a lot about your mindset, your thought life, what you believe, your faith, and not in the traditional sense of faith as it's tied to religion, but faith as a system of belief, principles, what it takes to really get you from the ideation stage to actual implementation. And so this has been a really great tool as I'm going through this process of my Go Brave 75 and implementing not just the activities that I do for each day, but also the discipline, the belief, the intentionality, the focus, and getting out of avoidance behaviors. Because I noticed within myself that I intentionally did not apply effort in certain areas because I thought, oh, it's just supposed to come easy to me, because that's essentially how I've lived a good majority of my life. A lot of things have come very easy to me, and outside of, some of the scientific and math things where, yeah. But when it comes to teaching and counseling and sharing and encouragement and all those areas, that essentially comes natural to me. And so I was like, well, if it applies effort, like, am I really supposed to be doing it? Is it really, my call or my purpose? Not realizing that effort is a part of what challenge is. And with challenge comes growth. And so I had to, and this is allowing me to, and I had already started to change my mindset about how I thought about challenge and really acquiring the success that I desire. And as I'm sure you know, success, though traditionally it's looked at as material, what you have, what you possess, success to me has really become about me being the person to really be able to maintain and sustain the things that I actually desire or want to have. Because if I don't initially become the person to actually sustain it, once I were to get it without becoming, I would no longer be able to maintain or sustain or keep it, because it would just go away because I wouldn't be able to maintain. So with that, I am learning the value of being. And that's a big part of the challenge that I'm on when it comes to Go Brave 75. I'm working at my being and my becoming so that when I do the things that I say I believe God has called me to, the purpose that he's called me to fulfill, the career and the work that he wants me to contribute to, then I could do that with confidence because I am being the person who's called to do this thing, cultivating courage, to eventually possess the, opportunities to be a keynote, the opportunities to do training and development, the opportunities to write books. And so, like I said, I've been on this journey for a little while now. I even say a couple of years, but this was just like the icing on the cake. And I'm still working on getting through the book. As of now, I believe I am in chapter 11. And so I'll be working on that today because a part of the Go Brave 75 challenge is to read a minimum of 10 nonfiction pages daily. And so I've been going through books. This is, for those who are on my newsletter, I mentioned 5 books that I have essentially been working through or have already finished reading. And it's only been, today will be 43 days of the challenge. So let me go ahead and get into these different major attributes of leadership, as well as how these are important factors to leadership. The second, after unwavering courage, is self-control. Now, I don't want to go into great depth for each because I'm sure you know or have an idea of what all of these mean. And if you want me to go in great depth, I was thinking of kind of expanding this over like a series and go into each of these because I think these are really great attributes to lean into, especially if you are building something or exploring a different plan, a different opportunity, whether that be in business or in your workplace. But self-control, I think a lot of people take this characteristic, this attribute for granted, and it's like a free-for-all nowadays. It's like, because I can, I will. When in actuality, just because you can does not mean that you should. And so self-control is a really big factor in leadership and being able to and it turns into really self-regulation, your ability to regulate your emotions, to an extent your experiences that you have as a result of your emotions. That self-regulation piece, self-control, self-restraint, self-management is so necessary when you're thinking about being a leader or just leadership in and of itself. Like I said, I won't go into great depth for each of these, but I do want to highlight some things. Number 3, a keen sense of justice. I mean, that goes without explanation, and given the world that we're in right now, it's needed now more than ever, which is why I always go back to courage. It's essentially being anxious in that moment where you might be afraid to have that conversation, or you might be skeptical of having an exchange with someone, or even going to speak out about something. But it's being anxious yet then going brave. And so that is that. Number 4, definiteness of purpose. Wow, that's not even what's on this paper. And I'm going to keep this in the video because maybe I needed to say it for someone. Definiteness of decision and definiteness of plan. So that's 4 and 5. A definiteness of decision and a definiteness of plans. Gosh, say that a couple of times. Decision, I learned, and I actually wrote this in my book. I want to say this is chapter 3 on 5 strategies to disrupt self-sabotage, one of which is decision. And decision, there's a difference between choice and decision. A choice identifies several options, several ways to go about a situation. A decision is when you eliminate all options and you move. A decision is active, whereas a choice is more thoughtful, it's considerate, and not in the way that, you're being thoughtful or considerate in a conversation, but you are in the process of figuring out what you want to do and how you want to do it. And so sometimes in a choice, you can kind of stay there where you end up not making a choice, but even in not making a choice, you make a choice, Whereas a decision, I have put things in order to actually do the thing that I say that I made a decision about. So for example, Go Brave 75. I made a decision that I'm going to stick to this challenge for 75 days. Again, day 43. It was a decision. It wasn't a choice. I didn't balance between, well, maybe for a moment I balanced between, do I want to start? My balance of going back and forth in a choice was when I was going to start. But once I got started, I made a decision. So that's a good example. Again, a definiteness of plans. Making a plan. I feel like we miss this part when it comes to, we have these visions, we have goals, and sometimes tactical steps, but we forget the plan. And the plan is, I believe, what carries the goals and tactical steps in order to execute on the vision. We forget what carries it. We forget, let's just think of a basket of fruit or a fruit basket. The basket is what carries the fruit of goals and tactical steps. So the plan is the basket, because vision, is high in the sky. It's, ideation. It's the idea. It's, I wonder, it's the desire. Whereas the plan is our creating our steps to get to doing the thing. The heart of doing more than paid for. It's going above and beyond. That's number 6. Number 7, a pleasing personality. Yeah, if you're a leader and people can't stand you, that's a problem. You can't even say that as a leader that it's a people thing, like, oh, it's not me, it's them. Because if everybody has a disdain towards you, that's a problem for you as a leader. Like, people need to be able to have an effective conversation with you, communicate with you. Now, granted, you don't have to be friends with everyone, but pleasantries are helpful in leadership, because people will be more easily able to come to you. Now, I'm not saying making yourself available and easily accessible as a leader, because sometimes that's just not possible with what's on your plate and the decisions that you have to make. But being pleasant, even in the boundary setting as a leader, is very important. And that's just a side note to being or having a pleasant personality. Number 8, sympathy and understanding. That goes without much detail. Number 9, mastery of detail, meaning you're communicating clearly what the expectations are, what you're looking to get as a result, and being very specific. Number 10, willingness to assume full responsibility. So I've come across this in the different dynamics of workplace and business, and then some relationships. That's another factor when it comes to disrupting self-sabotage, is that you take ownership. You take responsibility of what is yours to bear. I'm not saying take responsibility for, something that's completely out of your control, but we have our internal locus of control, which includes our attitudes, our behaviors, our feelings, our thought life, our love, sometimes our limitations, our talents, our gifts. All of those, we actually do have control of those. Whether or not we display them, expose them, share them, we have a lot of control. But I'm talking about, especially in leadership, when we're dealing with individuals who make a mistake, most likely than not, when it's on the job and they make a mistake, either information was not clear or you did not help them to get to a place where they can execute effectively. That's taking ownership. That's taking responsibility, even when it's not your fault. That's what leadership is. Again, and it doesn't have to be a right or wrong. It's just, if you call yourself a leader and you have people who look to you as leader, when they make a mistake, it's yours as well. And yeah, it sucks, but it's the truth, because they're following what you've set as the example, what you have set as the tone. And in them following that, if there's mistakes made, if there's confusion, if there's miscommunication, if there is dishonesty, whatever comes from that, though that person's personality, character is wrapped up in it, if it comes down to fulfilling a job or fulfilling an assignment or task under your leadership, unfortunately, you are accountable to that. Because people are going to look, yes, at that person who may get fired, but then they're going to look at you like, did you train them well? Maybe we need to retrain you to effectively train them. The last thing is cooperation. I think the next video I'm going to talk in more depth about the unwavering courage, because this is just me coming on without a script, but I wanted to share this with you. Like I said, the last thing is cooperation. And I just want to read it really quick. Successful leaders must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and be able to induce followers to do the same. Leadership calls for power, and power calls for cooperation, or power, another form of influence, because people have to be connected, and there has to be somebody setting the intention and other people following suit with that intention, that vision, that focus, or whatever aim that is being worked towards. So that's just simply me going over each of one, again, without great detail. I hope that this was helpful to you, because it has been helpful to me. Another thing that I do want to share, if you don't have the book, there are also 10 major causes of failure in leadership, and I probably will do another video with that to highlight some of those for you, because yeah, a few of these things we might have to consider or assess ourselves, which I think is so important. And if you struggle with assessing yourself, or you need a tool to assess or do yourself a self-inventory to kind of see where you stand with what you believe, what your values are, what your hobbies are, what you enjoy most, what are your strengths and weaknesses, what are your triggers potentially, then I would encourage you to actually go to our website, www.gobravellc.com, and underneath our book options, we actually have an ebook where you can actually go through a series of questions. Man, it's almost 50 questions that you can go through to do a self-assessment. And my recommendation is that you do this type of assessment that I have in there once a year, but then revisit it every quarter to kind of see where you stand, how you've grown, some things that are just unwavering, which is great to identify, especially when you're doing a self-inventory, to kind of see like, yeah, this is a non-negotiable, and being confident in that, because that again shifts you from someone who has a lot of choices to someone who has made a decision and it being definite. And so with this video, again, this was another catch-all of just some of the things that I've been doing as far as the things I've been reading, what has stood out to me with my reading, especially this book, Think and Grow Rich. I hope what I shared with you this evening has been helpful to you. And until next time, let your soul work be your best work to a better you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with someone you know. If you like what I am sharing or the flow of how I'm sharing, by all means, let me know in the comments, and tell me if there's any of those leadership traits that you would be interested in learning more about just yourself, or that you feel like that would be your next step to kind of build yourself up and your capacity in a particular area. There were 11 that I shared with you. So go ahead and put that in the comments. Which one of those leadership attributes that you're going to work on, maybe even in this quarter. This quarter, I know, started back in April. We're already in May. Can you believe it? Second quarter is halfway through. So what are you going to finish up the quarter with? Put that in the comments for me so that I know to maybe even explore that topic in greater detail. Again, I hope you have a great one. Until next time, bye.